Trump fan and Fox News host Laura Ingram has finally admitted that Joe Biden did indeed win the election. Watch.
In what was perhaps the most consequential tweet sent since Election Day, President Trump gave the go-ahead for the transition. You see it there. And as unpleasant and disappointing as these past 3 weeks have been to so many of us, as much as we wish things were different, this is where things stand tonight. Now, legal challenges continue in a number of states. Serious questions about vote counting, poll watcher access are outstanding. But unless the legal situation changes in a dramatic and frankly an unlikely manner, Joe Biden will be inaugurated on January 20th. Now, to say this does not mean I don't think that this election was rife with problems and potential fraud. And to say this does not constitute being a sellout to the conservative populist movement that I've been fighting for, I don't know, 25 years. And it does not mean that I disagree at all with the president's right and obligation to pursue all legitimate legal challenges to this outcome. To say this constitutes living in reality. And if I offered you a false reality, if I told you that there was an excellent, phenomenal chance that the Supreme Court was going to step in and deliver a victory to President Trump, I'd be lying to you.
Okay. Again, caveat after caveat. This doesn't mean I'm going to sell out to the right-wing populist. Millie, there is no such thing as being a right-wing populist. I'm just saying. It doesn't actually exist. Because you look at all the right-wing so-called populists, they're still, pushing that anti-immigrant agenda and all that stuff, racism, xenophobia, and maybe they'll tax the rich a little bit more, but unlikely. They don't really talk about that all that much. That's a lot of copium there. But that said, this is the most clear acceptance of reality that I think we're going to get from Fox News. Now, again, there's all those qualifications of which she could not point to any shred of evidence. Just saying, well, I think that this is rife with fraud. Oh, you can think all you want about that. That doesn't make it true. That doesn't mean that there's actual fraud here. And so, that said, she's saying all that stuff. She knows. She's not a dumb person. I know you guys are like chafe whenever I say that. These are dumb people. They're grifters. Understand that they get paid to say this stuff. And they make millions off bilking the real rubes. The 79% of Trump supporters that think that the election was stolen. And again, the reason that they think that is no thanks to people like Laura Ingram, who keep pushing conspiracies about voter fraud. But even then, again, she has had to change her tune because it's not true. It's not true. You don't have any evidence. There's just no evidence to speak of. And so she has resigned herself to the fact that Trump has absolutely no case. There will not be courts overturning this election. I did fear that there was a possibility that this could happen. But even the Supreme Court decided not to hear a certain case about voter fraud. All the lower courts that, they have filed all over the country, Michigan, Pennsylvania, have been all thrown out. Georgia. I mean, they just don't have a case. And thankfully, the system has worked. And again, that's not for lack of them trying to tear it down. And so my message, I guess, to all the MAGA that are asking, that come into the comments, you've probably seen them, right? Dude, what are you gonna say when Trump is declared the winner in the courts? Well, the answer is, I don't have to say anything because it's not going to happen. You're living in an alternate reality and alternative facts. All I'm trying to do, I'm not trying to get you to love Biden and be like, oh no, I'm a liberal now. No, I'm trying to get you to face reality. This is what's happening. And if you actually do want a shot 4 years from now to try to reclaim what you lost, you at least should accept the reality and live in the reality-based world. I'm just saying. That's it, right? Tucker Carlson. He's the next person I'm going to talk about. Now, you remember, I showed you guys a video where he's talking about Sidney Powell and how he tried to invite her on the show to show her all the evidence or to have her show all the evidence that she supposedly collected about Venezuela and Hugo Chavez and Dominion rigging the voting machines and all that crazy conspiracy stuff. And then she got mad at him. Now you've got Tucker Carlson, even though he has no evidence, saying this kind of stuff.
The 2020 presidential election was not fair. No honest person would claim that it was fair. On many levels, the system was rigged against one candidate and in favor of another. And it was rigged in ways that were not hidden from view. We all saw it happen. The media openly colluded with the Democratic nominees. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris refused to explain what they would do if they were elected. That's never happened before in any presidential election in American history. But the media allowed them to do it.
Yeah, except no, none of that happened. It's not fair. It's not fair. Quit whining, Tucker. Stop looking like a baby. You look like a loser. Have dignity for once in your life. I know. The only thing, your entire purpose is to serve the rich. And yet you call yourself a right-wing populist. No. You're a rich boy. You're the Swanson heir. Shut up about populism, you grifter. Grifty some bitch. All right. Again, oh my God, it's not fair. How dare Democrats take advantage of voting in by mail when Trump supporters, the same voting by mail system that Trump supporters could have used to have also voted by mail. I kind of recall Trump and his media allies on Fox News telling people not to vote by mail. And so they didn't vote by mail. Not in like significant numbers, not compared to Democrats. Now, traditionally, Republicans have utilized vote by mail because that was an option that you were able to use, and it's a perfectly valid option with actually pretty low rates of voter fraud. And yet, now they're complaining about it. Oh my God, how could the mail-in ballots be so heavily weighted toward Democrats when we told Republicans to not use it? Come on. And so, look, here's why we're seeing this. Okay, reaction from Fox News. I did the story. I talked about how Rupert Murdoch knew that Donald Trump was going to lose. He's known for a while. But yet, at the same time, Murdoch also allowed these hosts to basically push conspiracy theories. Why would he do that? Well, because they built an audience on conspiracy theories. Tucker Carlson may be a beta bitch for rich people, but he's also happens to be the most watched person on cable news. And so, look, Laura Ingram gets a pretty sizable audience as well. I mean, I would kill for half those numbers that Laura Ingram gets. But at the end of the day, the donors do matter, and the donors were not happy. The Republican Party has just been served a shutoff notice by the big donors. Quit with the election bullshit. Let Biden take power. We're not happy with it, but it's going to stabilize the markets. So stop with the bullshit, or else you're not going to get any money. And by the way, you're going to need that money for the Senate runoff races in Georgia right now if you want to keep control of the Senate, if you don't want the Democrats to go and take it. So say whatever you got to say to keep your audience, because right now I don't envy their position. Okay? I do not envy their position. Laura Ingram, and it's kind of like a self, they did this to themselves. Overall, Fox News as a whole, by pushing people into this alternate reality. Now they got to be like, we're accepting reality because we don't, Joe Biden did win and that's real life. But at the same time, they're still have to go and pander. You know what I mean? Pander to the audience that they created by saying, well, I mean, I still don't trust the election results. So, I mean, what are you even going to do, right? I got to tell them. I got to tell them the stuff they want to hear, or else they're going to tune out and run to OAN, who still right now is saying that Donald Trump has 410 electoral votes. What? Not even close. Not even close. Again, they live in a complete, like, utter different reality. But there's OAN, and then, of course, you also have, like, Newsmax. That both of those networks, by the way, OAN and Newsmax, are looking to oust Fox News as the major conservative net, just like Parler is trying to be the new Twitter for conservatives. I give Parler a good 6 months before everybody there runs off and says, well, this is boring. There's nobody here except us with our conspiracy theorists, Milo freaking Yiannopoulos, and that's it. Like, this is boring. Let's go somewhere else. And you know, speaking of course, Parler, they actually did do some censorship. Oh no, I'll get to that in another story though. But that said, Parler. You know what? I want to talk about that now. Actually, Parler is, again, where these conservatives are running to, right? Now, I just mentioned how there's the donors, right? Well, one of the biggest donors are the Mercers. Those were the biggest Trump donors. And then before they were Trump donors, they were donors Ted Cruz. So they love all sorts of this crazy. And so they're the biggest funders behind Parler. And then we just find out that Parler is now censoring the hashtag write in Trump for Georgia. What do you want to write in Trump for what? Senate? What? That doesn't make any sense. So no, they got rid of that hashtag on Parler because they're like, that's a stupid idea. That's going to hurt our chances in Georgia. Wait, what about Parler being a haven for free speech? Yep. Come on, dude. Oh, okay. And again, look, the reason they're doing this, they don't want Donald Trump anymore because Donald Trump is these whole shenanigans are affecting the markets. And the markets are the most important thing to these people. And the markets, by the way, speaking of like the transition, they just rallied by it just hit over 3,000 after Joe Biden picked Janet Yellen to be the incoming Treasury Secretary. Now, as a progressive, it's like, wait a minute, why does Wall Street like Janet Yellen so much? Curious. That's not a good sign. But then again, right, for Republicans, Donald Trump's already taken credit for it, which he's had nothing to do. Right? 30,000, sorry. So the markets and the donors, they're already looking forward towards a Biden administration. And so they're done with this. And now Fox hosts are too, which is why conservatives, again, are flocking to OAN, Newsmax. They now have a vested interest in keeping up the lie. Those networks do, so all that they can beat Fox News in the ratings. It all comes down to money. It all comes down to business. And unfortunately, none of it has to do with objective reality. They're just fighting over the rubes at this point. Because, unfortunately, that's all who's left. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.